Hello, strong, beautiful, confident woman of God. Yes, I am talking to you. Welcome to the Purpose After Domestic Violence podcast, where getting freedom from the effects of domestic violence meets empowerment to walk in the fullness of your God-designed purpose. I am your host, Tina. I am an attorney, an author and speaker, and a Christian life purpose coach. I will be your guide here, helping you on your journey from overcoming victimhood and just simply surviving to stepping into the victorious life God has waiting just for you. As we travel this road together, Purpose After Domestic Violence is not just a podcast. It's a sacred space where the shackles of domestic violence are broken and empowerment takes root, grows, and flourishes. Here, we are not just surviving, we're thriving in the fullness of our God-designed purpose. I have personally walked the path from victimhood to victory, and I'm here to guide you through it. Picture me as your big sister, holding your hand, sharing wisdom and revelation, and helping you navigate the twists and turns of this path towards healing, freedom, and empowerment. Whether you're on the path to victory or seeking a guiding light in the storm, Purpose After Domestic Violence is here for you. Together, we'll illuminate the path forward to a life filled with purpose. Welcome, my sweet sister, to the Purpose After Domestic Violence podcast. Good morning, my sweet sister, and welcome back to episode 5 in our StoryBrand framework series. So exciting. We are halfway through. Okay, so episode 1, the hero. You are the hero of your story. Episode 2, there is a real villain and 3 layers to the problem. Episode 3 was every good story has a guide, right? And I want to be your guide. Episode 4 was the plan, right? God is a God of order and plans, and we have a plan for you. So this episode, the next step is every great story not only has a guide, but the guide calls the hero to action. That's what we're talking about today, right? Healing isn't just about personal freedom. It's also about the impact you have on the generations to come. So the actions that we take today shape the future, especially for our children, right? This isn't just about us, right? This is about our kiddos too. God calls us to step into our purpose, not only for our own well-being, but for the legacy that we leave behind for our kids, and for the other women in our lives that we can help, right? Okay, so we're going to talk about 7 things here on our journey, right? All right, so first, like the call to action in the journey to healing. Healing and moving forward are not passive, right? They're active. They require a conscious choice to step into all that God has for us. Matthew 11:28 through 30 says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." Jesus calls us to come to him and take action by learning from him and allowing his guidance to ease our burdens. The healing process involves our active participation, and we have to trust in God's promises and his plan for us, right? And I really believe, again, that he's given me this purpose pyramid to help you along in this journey. And we're going to partner with Jesus. We're going to partner with God, and we're going to partner with Holy Spirit to get you through this. And it's exciting. Like, I want you to be excited about this. Okay. All right. Number 2, the legacy we leave for our children. You know, the actions that we take today don't just impact us, but it sets an example for the next generation. Psalm 78, 4-7 says, "We will not hide them from their descendants. We will tell the next generation the praiseworthy deeds of the Lord, his power and the wonders he has done. He decreed statutes for Jacob and established the law in Israel, which he commanded our ancestors to teach their children, so the next generation would know them, even the children yet to be born, and they in turn would tell their children. Then they would put their trust in God and would not forget his deeds, but would keep his commands." The story of God's faithfulness and his commandments should be passed down to the next generation. When we take action in healing, we are not only reclaiming our own lives, but setting a godly example for our children to follow, showing them how to overcome adversity and live in freedom. So good. So good. You know, I have to take a little bunny trail here because I want to share an example from my journey, you know, when I was still in my marriage. And I don't know if I've shared this or not. I think Becca and I talked about this a little bit on one of our podcasts together, you know, but I came to a critical mass moment, a tipping point moment in my marriage where I knew it was over. You know, I had been begging my husband to go to marriage counseling with me. And one night we were having an argument and he said, "Tina, I don't have any issues. Any problems or issues we have in this marriage are your fault." Wow. That was that was that was an epiphany, right? And I just knew in my soul that there was no repairing this marriage, right? And also, along this same kind of thought process, I really felt like I had only 2 choices. You know, when thinking about my kids, I have 3 boys. Um, you know, did I want my kids growing up in an abusive home? Or my other choice, did I want my kids coming from a broken home? Right? I felt at the time that those were really my only 2 options. And I truly believe 2 things. Number 1, my mindset at the time with those 2 choices, I decided it was going to be much better for my children to come from a broken home than to come from an abusive home. Okay. I grew up in an abusive household too, right? My parents and my grandparents. And I did not want that for my boys. So at the time, that was the choice I had to make. And I do not regret that choice. I know that that was the right choice for me because my husband pretty much told me during that fight that he was not willing to take any responsibility for the troubles that we had in our marriage. And there was nothing that I could do to fix that. But the second thing I learned throughout the years and having made that choice is, you know, my boys did not see a mother who allowed the father to abuse her. What they did see was a woman who took care of them, provided for them, went to school, made something of her life, and became a strong, beautiful, confident woman of God. Like when I think about my boys, I thought about the women I wanted them to marry later in life, right? I didn't want them to be learning that it's okay to abuse women. I didn't want them learning to look for a woman who was stuck in victimhood, right? I wanted them to grow up seeing an example of a strong, beautiful, confident woman of God so that then when they became adults and were searching for their wife, they would be looking for a strong, beautiful, confident woman of God, right? So there was actually, my point with that is there was actually a third option, right? Is to provide that godly example for my kids so that they can have healthy relationships in their future and teach their children how to be strong, beautiful, confident God kids, right? All right. So that takes us to number 3, breaking the cycle of pain for future generations. As we step into healing, we actively break the generational cycle of hurt, abuse, and brokenness. You know, domestic violence is a generational curse, right? But healing from it is a generational blessing. Deuteronomy 30:19 through 20 says, "This day I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life so that you and your children may live and that you may love the Lord your God, listen to his voice, and hold fast to him. For the Lord is your life, and he will give you many years in the land he swore to give your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." God gives us a choice between life and death, between blessing and curse. Our choice to heal and break free from the cycle of abuse doesn't just affect us. It impacts our children and generations to come. When we choose healing, we are choosing life for ourselves and for them. So good. So good. So what are you going to choose today, my dear sister? Choose life. God says, the word says, choose life. Number 4, a call to action to live in purpose. God has given us a specific purpose. And when we step into it, we are not only fulfilling God's will for our lives, but we are creating a life that will influence others, especially those closest to us, right? Especially our kiddos. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future." God's plan for us is full of hope and future. He calls us to live out his purpose with boldness and conviction, and healing is a part of that purpose. As we are called to walk in freedom to influence others, especially our kids, right? So number 5 is the importance of setting an example for our children. Our children will follow what we model, right? So by taking the action to heal and walk in God's purpose, we set a standard for them to follow. Proverbs 22:6 says, "Start children off on the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it." As we take action, we teach our children to take action toward healing purpose and overcoming obstacles. The healing we experience will become their example, giving them the tools to rise above challenges that they're going to face in their own lives. 6, the role of our children in our healing journey, right? Our children are often a motivation for us to heal. They may be our driving force, to step into the future God has for us. Isaiah 54:13 says, all your children will be taught by the Lord, and great will be their peace. God has a plan for our children's lives too, right? And he promises to guide them. And as we heal, we create an environment for our children to grow up with the peace and the wisdom of the Lord. So good, so good. You know, for myself personally, and for so many women, when I worked at Safe Passage and then now as an attorney, like I have helped hundreds of women through this, right? And some of the women don't have kids, clearly, right? But a whole lot of them do. And very often it's our kids that are the motivation to leave the abusive marriage and to step into a journey of healing, right? I've heard so many women say, you know, I could take it. If he wanted to hit me, I could take it. I'm a big girl, right? But don't touch my babies, right? Let that resonate in your spirit right now. Is that you? Is that how you have felt in your past? Was that the tipping point for you, that you didn't want your kids to grow up seeing this abuse, you know, or being abused, right? Um, the statistic is crazy high. Something like 97% of men who abuse their wives also abuse their children, right? Oh, gosh. So is that really what we want for our kids? But a lot of times it is that when we start seeing our kids being abused, um, that is the thing that finally gets us to leave, right? This call to action, like think about your kids. If you don't have kids, but you have nieces and nephews, right? Be an example to them. If you don't have kids, if you don't have nieces and nephews, but you're in a church family, there are kids there. Be an example. So number 7, taking action to build a stronger future. Action is required to build something greater than we could ever achieve by staying stuck. God calls us to rise and build for the sake of future generations. Nehemiah 2:18 says, I also told them about the gracious hand of my God on me and what the king had said to me. They replied, let us start rebuilding. So they began this good work. Just as the people of Israel responded to the call to rebuild Jerusalem, we are called to rebuild our lives, actively taking part in creating a better future for ourselves and those who follow us. Taking action is essential to healing, but it's also essential for leaving behind a legacy of strength, healing, and faith for your children and future generations. Your healing journey is not just for you. It's a pivotal moment in breaking generational chains and setting an example for the next generation. As you take action to heal, you can show others what freedom, faith, and purpose look like, empowering them to walk in their own destinies. That is so good, right? Okay, so you've just heard all the reasons why action is so crucial in your journey of healing. But now I want to give you, I promised you last week, right, that we were going to dive a little deeper into the plan, right? So now I want to give you a clear plan, a step-by-step guide to help you take the action and move from survivor mode to living in your God-given purpose. This plan is structured in a way that will give you the clarity you need to remove the feeling of overwhelm. Okay, so I'm going to break this down for you into 4 simple steps. Okay, number 1, if you have not already, so far you've had 4 opportunities to do this first step, right? Go download the top 3 reasons you're stuck in survivor mode after experiencing domestic violence and how to break free. Okay? So first thing you need to do, if you have not already, is go get this free resource. The link is right here in the show notes for you. It's also on my website, my purposeafterdv.com website. As soon as you get there on the homepage, it is literally the very first thing you see. Okay, so it's right there for you too. All right, this guide is going to help you pinpoint where you're getting held back, where you're stuck, and give you actionable steps to begin moving forward. Ladies, it's free. It's free. It's simple, and it's the perfect starting point to reclaim your life. Okay? We need to break free from survivor mode. God does not want his daughters stuck in survivor mode. Okay? I've said all along, I've been doing this podcast for a year, and the one thing I've said over and over and over again is God does not want his daughters being abused, right? And I stand by that firmly. But as I'm learning and growing and diving deeper into the Lord and seeking his heart for you, like he doesn't want you stuck in survivor mode either. Okay? All right. Number 2, and this is mentioned in the top 3 reasons resource, is to go get my Proverbs 26:2 bundle. Okay? And this is free also. And this is the very thing that Becca got her freedom and deliverance from, right? This was what she did. She did the Proverbs 26:2 challenge, which is a part of that bundle, you know. So why Proverbs 26:2? Right? Because an undeserved curse is powerless to harm you. We really dive deep into verbal abuse and the lies that have been spoken over you. You know, the battlefield is our mind, and we have got to change the narrative of our story. We've got to change our mindset from victimhood and survivorhood to being a strong, beautiful, confident woman of God. And this bundle is going to help you do exactly that. And it is free. Okay. Now, if you want to dive a little deeper and have the workbook pages for the bundle and the chapter on freedom from the effects of verbal abuse, right? Step 3 is go buy my book and workbook, right? Power After Domestic Violence, Power After DV, Freedom from the Effects of Domestic Violence. So I have written a book and a workbook, and let me just say, they are beautiful. Becca had the vision for the cover, and it is just chock full of more step-by-step guidance, right? And real life examples from me. I have my personal journey in the book, you know, and lots of space for you to reflect and journal your personal healing journey. You know, this resource is essential. So the book and workbook, chapter 5 in both, go along with the Proverbs 26:2 bundle. So if you want to kind of dive deep into that, you have that option. And of course, The book and the workbook are available on Amazon, and you can get links to that. Actually, I'll just go ahead and put the links in the show notes for this episode, but those links are also on my website. So you can find that Power After DV book and workbook. Okay. So, so far I have given you 2 free resources. The top 3 reasons you're stuck in survivor mode after experiencing domestic violence and how to break free, and the Proverbs 26:2 bundle, right? Those 2 things are packed full of value. And if you really dive into it and take the action to get those resources and really take the action to do the work in those resources, you're going to get a level of freedom and healing that you didn't even maybe know was possible. Okay? But then step 3, my book and workbook, right? I'm asking you to invest in yourself, right? You are good soil. And the book and the workbook are not expensive, right? And it's going to take you deep. It's going to give you a deep dive into the healing process, and the workbook is a tool that's going to help you put the principles throughout the book into practice, right? Step-by-step guidance, real life examples. These resources are going to be essential in helping you move from just being passive in your everyday survivor mode life into glorious action. Okay? Then I have one more step for you, one more step in this plan. And this is your biggest call to action. Are you ready? It's time to take the next big step. Choosing the right program to take your healing to the next level. So whether at this point you're ready for the self-paced online course, the need for community, the community support of a group program, or if you want personalized coaching to guide you through every step, I have a program that's perfect for you. These are paid options, but they're designed to give you continued support, personalized tools, and accountability so that you can truly walk out the transformation God has planned for you. Okay, so this plan isn't just a list of things to do, right? It's a journey of transformation. Like, this is not like do this, then this, then this, right? There's a purpose behind all this because we truly want you to get freedom. And then once you get freedom, you'll be ready for the next level in the purpose pyramid, which is purpose after DV, right? But again, this plan isn't just a list of things to do. It's a journey of transformation. Every step builds on the one before it, creating a clear and intentional path towards healing and freedom. With each resource, you'll gain greater clarity and confidence. And by the time you get to the end of this plan, you're not going to be stuck in survivor mode anymore. You're going to be a strong, beautiful, confident woman of God. Like, by the time you are done with Power After DV, you are truly going to believe that you are a strong, beautiful, confident woman of God. Okay? And you will be ready to take the next step and create a legacy of faith and strength for generations to come. So I want to ask you, are you ready to take action and start walking in the freedom and healing that God has for you? The plan is simple. The resources are all available to you, and it's your time to step forward. Okay. Now, let me say there is a surprise bonus goodie in that top 3 reasons resource for you. We talked about the number one reason, right, you're stuck is because of the enemy. And the way to overcome and conquer the enemy is by really digging into the Word of God. So on that first reason, the free resource for you there is my daily Bible reading plan with purpose. And I'm so excited about this because we are actually going to read through the entire Bible in a year. Okay. And we're actually going to read Psalms, Proverbs, and the Gospels twice in that year. Okay. So check that out because that's a free resource for you too. All right. So I have actually 3 very in-depth and full of goodness resources for you. And then the first investment in yourself that I'm asking you to make is to purchase my book and workbook. Now, if you buy it on Amazon with shipping, right, it's going to be about $35 for the book and the workbook. Okay. But then the 4th step, you really need to make an investment, right? And I don't have my prices on here. I'm not saying that right now. Um, if you are interested in any of them and you have any questions, feel free to reach out. There's a contact sheet right on my website, purposeafterdv.com, and you can send me an email, okay, and ask any questions you need, and we'll help you pick the path that is right for you. So good. So good. All right. So, my dear sister, take action. The stakes are high. The stakes are so high, especially if you have children. If you're afraid or, don't think you can do this, like think about your kids and let that mama bear anointing, did a podcast on that, right? Let that mama bear inside of you bubble up to the surface. Do this for your kids if you don't think you can do this for yourself. And the plan is simple, but the process is hard. Can I just say that? But because God is going to have you dive deep, but it's for a reason. It's so that we can pull up those roots and get rid of them so that the domestic violence that you experienced in your past, like, doesn't rule your future anymore. And that's what really survivor mode is, right? You're not experiencing the abuse anymore, but it's still ruling your life. So I am calling you to action today. Go get that free resource, the top 3 reasons you're stuck in survivor mode. Go download the Proverbs 26:2 bundle. Go buy my workbook and book. Now, let me put in this little caveat here for step 3. Like, if you already know that you want to dive into one of these programs, either the self-paced online course, the group coaching and mentorship through the course, or personal one-on-one mentorship through the course, I'm actually going to send you a copy of my book and workbook. Okay? So keep that in mind. Once you get through Proverbs 26:2, and you know that you want to engage in one of these 3 levels of the Power After DV course and coaching program, don't buy my book and workbook, because I'm going to send it to you, okay? All right. I love you, my sweet sister. This is your official call to action. And I want to hear from you, okay? I want to hear from you. I want to hear your success. I love you. Have a blessed week. And know that this week in particular, even more than every other week, I'm going to be praying for you. All right. I'm going to be praying for you to have the courage to take action, to change the narrative of your story. Thank you so much for joining me on my Purpose After Domestic Violence podcast. I hope today's conversation resonated with you. And if you think it could encourage someone you know, please share it. Together we can spread the light of healing and purpose. I would so appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and leave me a review. These small actions would bless me indeed and help other women find this podcast and be encouraged too. Remember, you are not alone. Your strength is undeniable, and your journey is worth celebrating. If you have questions, thoughts, or topics you'd like me to explore in the future, please reach out on social media, or you can visit my website at purposeafterdv.com. Before we part ways, always remember, you are a strong, beautiful, confident woman of God, and your purpose is shining brightly within you. Until next time, stay strong, stay inspired, and keep moving forward on your journey to a life filled with purpose.